Welcome to PacWest Magazine, the radio show. The show about our exciting Pacific West Conference. The PacWest is made up of NCAA Division II universities from Arizona and Utah to California and Hawaii. It's the most beautiful and diverse athletic conference in the entire NCAA. This is Commissioner Bob Hogue, inviting you to join our outstanding coaches, student-athletes, and administrators as we talk about the great excitement in the PacWest. Now here's Assistant Commissioner Tom Camillo, live from our studios in Santan, Arizona.
Hey. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Tom DiCamillo, Joe Carrero. This is PacWest Radio live from the Santan Valley in the studios of KQCK. And it is PacWest Women's Basketball Media Day. Today we'll announce the preseason all-conference team along with the predicted order of finish. We will also have 7 of the 14 women's coaches on board. Angie Christensen from Dixie State College of Utah, Trent May from Grand Canyon, Lene Larson from Academy of Art, Mike Rutter from NDNU, Bill Westfall from Point Loma, David Canachero. I got to make sure I say that right. I always mess that one up, Joe. David Canachero from Hawaii Hilo, and Reed Takasuka from Hawaii Pacific will be joining us today on the program. Next Thursday, we will have the PacWest Men's Basketball Media Day, and the day after that, men's basketball, women's basketball. The basketball season has arrived. Just a couple of notes this week, real quick before we get started. Women's volleyball, BYU Hawaii and Fresno Pacific battled to a huge contest on Tuesday night. BYU Hawaii won 3-2. It was an outstanding match. Both teams were unbeaten in the conference. BYU Hawaii has clinched the automatic qualifier and will be going to the NCAA Division II tournament. They are the top-ranked team in the region at this point and have an opportunity to host. Grand Canyon women's team is also ranked 3rd in the region and has a strong shot at making it to the postseason. And in men's soccer, a showdown here in Phoenix on Saturday, California Baptist taking on Grand Canyon University. And if California Baptist wins and Notre Dame, Dana Moore, beats Fresno Pacific, we will have 3 teams tied with the same record atop the standings. And with a new structure in place of tie-breaking in that scenario, California Baptist would be the PacWest champion. Grand Canyon would win the championship with a win or a tie on Saturday. And then right now, we'd like to get right to the PacWest Women's Basketball Media Day, and Joe is going to be calling the coaches as we go through. And Joe, if we don't have luck, some of them may be traveling. We'll just jump to the next person, but we do have a few minutes because I know our listenership is extremely anxious to listen who the preseason player of the year is, and who also the predicted order of finish. And let's look at the predicted order of finish. Picked to finish first in the Pacific West Conference this year, Grand Canyon University, led by Trent May, the head coach. Grand Canyon received 11 of the possible 14 first-place votes. The Antelopes were 24-4 last year, 15-3 in the conference. They won the conference championship and went to the NCAA tournament last year. They received 192 points in the voting. California Baptist was second last year in the conference, and they are picked second to finish second. They are picked to finish second this year. They were 22-7 last year, 14-4 in the conference. They were not eligible for the postseason, NCAA postseason yet. They're still in the transition stage. They had 173 points and three first-place votes. Dixie State College of Utah is picked to finish third, 171 points, 18-8 last year, 13-5 in the conference. Newcomer Azusa Pacific was 26-8 last year as an NAIA school. They're picked to finish fourth. Academy of Art, strong season last year, picked to finish fifth with 131 points. It finished sixth as Hawaii Pacific, an 18-10 mark last year. And they finished tied with Academy of Art in the standings with 12-6 conference record. Point Loma, another newcomer to the conference, they were 17-14 last season in the NAIA, and they're picked to finish seventh. Eighth is Hawaii Hilo. Ninth is Fresno Pacific, another newcomer to the conference. BYU Hawaii picked 10th. Notre Dame Dana Moore picked 11th. Dominican and Holy Names tied for 12th. And Chaminade 14th. So Grand Canyon 1, California Baptist 2, Dixie State 3, Azusa Pacific 4, Academy of Art 5. That's your top 5 in the conference, and this was voted upon by the coaches. Preseason all-conference team. And here we go. Jonna Brown from Dixie State College of Utah, and also Becca Thomas from Dixie State College of Utah picked to be on the preseason all-conference team. Jonna Brown did not play last year, but 2 years ago was outstanding and was an all PacWest first team selection. And she's a dual sport athlete who also plays softball, an outstanding softball player. California Baptist also has two players in Simone Holmes and Mariah Hicks. They were both all-conference last year. Grand Canyon University's Malin Smith, an outstanding player, all-conference first team last year, was the player of the year last year. She is also on the preseason all-conference team. Academy of Arts, Elisa Griggs, on the preseason squad, and Shayla Washington from BYU Hawaii. And the preseason player of the year for women's basketball in the PacWest, none other than Malin Smith from Grand Canyon University. And joining us is her head coach, Trent May. Trent, welcome to PacWest Women's Basketball Media Day.
Tom, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
I know probably not a big surprise, although a lot of talent in the PacWest this year, but Malin Smith being picked as the preseason player of the year, an outstanding season last year. For those that didn't get a chance to watch her play, talk about what kind of player Malin Smith is.
Malin, she has a big heart for the game of basketball. She has a great passion on the floor. She is one of those kids, when you talk about guts, she defines that. She is a very driven individual, and just carries a lot of moxie towards her preparation and the way she carries herself on the floor, and she's definitely a gamer. She loves big games, she loves big moments, and she really thrives in those situations.
Trent, last year you guys had a terrific season. Some of your key players obviously have moved on. You have some other players coming ready to step up. What do you see from Grand Canyon this year?
Well, losing 4 starters, I think that's that one right there alone that just shows we have to have hopefully our recruiting class and the returners really show up in big ways and really provide a good spark for us through early on and through the season. And so the thing I like about our program right now is that we have a lot of experienced players. We have a lot of girls, even though we have a lot of new players. We have a lot of people who have played. So the experience carries hopefully will carry a lot of weight for what we're trying to do and to meet expectations. And so I think the nucleus that we have is the chemistry has gone really well, has met expectations on that side, and just the way that they prepare for each day of practice. And the upcoming season is obviously upon us. We tip off from a week from today when games that count. A week from tomorrow. So it's there's a lot of excitedness around here, and I think our girls are doing a great job of being ready for those moments.
Trent, when as a coach, obviously you hate to lose 4 starters because you get so accustomed to them being around, just not from a basketball standpoint and then a personal standpoint. But as a coach, does it kind of renew a challenge when do you get kind of curious to say, okay, I have one restarter in Malin Smith coming back. I kind of want to see what I have with the young players and some of the returning players, and what kind of competition that they'll push each other to kind of help improve the team and the program. Is that kind of an interesting time for you when that happens?
Absolutely, man. That's a great question, and one that it's kind of fun to answer, because it's renewing in the sense that not that you celebrate losing 4 starters, especially girls who we really loved being in the program. They were great, citizens on the university's campus and just in the community itself. But it's just one of those things that it's a new challenge, and so with that, it's trying to piece together the puzzle of bringing in new players, meshing with returning players, and then saying, "Wow, we only have 1 starter remaining," and just watching that how it all pans out and putting that puzzle together again. And so it is renewing, it is challenging, it is exciting, and it's just something that hey, it's every year, regardless if you're returning all your players, it's still a different year. It's never. Those who say it's the same, I think they're mistaken. I think that the year is never the same, and so you gotta celebrate that difference. And sometimes it's with a lot of players, and sometimes it's with a few. But in our case, we have a good mixture of both, returners and newcomers coming in, and putting that for me, I'm a chemistry coach, and so I have to have that. That's something that I take pride in, and it's something that I'll take that over over any day versus X's and O's, and that's who I am as a person and a coach.
Does the chemistry when you have the new players, like in this situation, is there a point that the chemistry starts to come together? Is it in the preseason, or is it in these games before the conference schedule starts, or is it at the start of the conference schedule, or is it really unpredictable?
Man, that's another good question. That's day one when they step on campus. That's something when you have to cultivate, and you can't just snap your fingers and expect that. I can't say as a coach that that's something that we adhere to without working on that and paying close attention to that. And I think the sooner you achieve that, I think the sooner that you start finding the results that you're looking for. And so I know right now that our girls do enjoy playing on the floor with one another, being around each other, and we've already had one trip already that was successful in a lot of ways. And that I think that just spurs confidence and obviously just brings that excitedness, because we do have high expectations in this program. I think looking at being a preseason ranked number one, that's all that is a target, but nonetheless, we have something to stand on as well of saying, hey, what we've done in this program has been good, but let's carry that further and let's live up to expectations set before us.
When you have a young,
I think that has to start with the spark of chemistry.
When you have a young team like this, or you go through this transition, is it better to start on the road and get them in hotels where they're together 24/7, or start at home so they can get a little more comfortable in their own surroundings, or doesn't that really matter?
Well, I think again, it kind of depends on. I don't consider us a young team. With we have a lot of transfers. This is the first year ever in my career that I don't have a freshman on the roster.
Wow.
And with that comes again that experience. But let's just say I'll take the first part of being on the road, because we were already on the road once. We'll be on the road again on Monday, and we'll be on the road again next week for 3 games. And so our first 5 opportunities to play and be on the road come on the road. And so with that, it's so. We won't be at home for a couple of weeks, and so with that, you hope that being on the road carries a lot of weight, and just the experiences that will be gained from that, and the time spent that can't really be duplicated at home as much. So hopefully that will continue to prove dividends for us.
Trent, we wish you the best of luck, and if people haven't seen Grand Canyons Arena, didn't get up there last year, obviously it's a tremendous place to go watch a basketball game and check the Antelopes this year. You can check out their website or the PacWest website. Trent, good luck this season.
Tom, thanks for having us on.
Thanks. Trent May, head coach of Grand Canyon University. Now I believe we do have Angie Christensen on. Who do we have next? Okay. Joe's... Okay. Joe's, I believe we're going to have Lene Larson on next from Academy of Art, and then Joe's going to...
No, we've got Angie coming on
next.
Oh,
we do have... Oh, Angie, okay, great. And then we do have the coaches, so our schedule's a little bit off just a little bit, but we have plenty of time for the program today. So those listening, don't forget to like the PacWest and like KQCK on Facebook, and it's KQCK is located here in the Santan Valley, and every Thursday at noontime in Pacific Daylight Time and Arizona time, PacWest Radio comes on. Remember, next week with the time changes, Arizona doesn't have the time change, but around the country in California and in Utah, there will be a time change. So those listening in Utah, the show will come on at 12 o'clock your time starting next week. In Arizona, on the West Coast, it'll come on at 11 a.m. starting next week. And Angela Christensen. Angie, welcome to PacWest Radio and to the Media Day.
Oh, hi, guys. I'm so sorry.
Did we lose you again? Do we have a bad connection?
No.
Oh, okay. Let's why don't we go to Lene Larson, and then we'll try to catch up with you want to try one more time? And just to repeat.
Hello.
Angie, there you are. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, Angie Christensen, the head coach at Dixie State College of Utah. Dixie State picked to finish third in the PacWest. Angie, 2 preseason all-conference selections. Becca Thomas, who was a second-team selection last year, and then Jonna Brown, who you get back this year. Talk about those players and what kind of impact they'll have on your team.
No doubt about Jonna's going to change our game. As a sophomore, she averaged 18 and 10. She was by far, I thought, one of the best players in the West region. Took last year off. Last night was her first game back in a year and a half. A little rusty, and she still came out with 18-10 against the Division I squad.
Wow.
So I think she's going to leave her mark on the PacWest again this year. And then Becca Thomas is going to be a presence in the paint for us. She worked hard this summer, is ready to come back and go out her senior year. So I look for those two to be big-time players for us.
Jonna, explain to the listeners what kind of athlete Jonna is, because every time you see an all-conference team, she's on it for softball or basketball when she's playing. It's the Jonna Brown show. I think there were weeks that she was player of the week in basketball and softball.
Right.
So just describe to people, this is really an outstanding, probably one of the best athletes overall in the PacWest.
Right. I tell everybody that she's not athletic. She's an athlete, and she's a very smart athlete. Jonna had Division I scholarships in both volleyball, basketball, and softball. She could have went with any of that sport and done very well, but she chose to come to Dixie State because we allowed her to play both. Obviously, she misses a little bit of the softball season, but that kid, I'll tell you what, I wish I had about 10 of her, because the kid, she just battles. She competes. And no matter what she's playing, whether it's a game of cards, whether it's ultimate frisbee, she wants to win at all costs. And so it is so nice to have her competitive nature back, and it showed obviously last night in her first game.
Let's talk about the team overall. What are your expectations this year?
I think I tell everybody that this we have a lot of pieces. This is probably the deepest team I've ever had at Dixie State. As far as there's no drop off. We could change up our starting lineup at any night. I like our mentality. We've got a lot of new pieces that we're still trying to fit in and find each other, but I'm not expecting that to be right there right now. But I think that we're gonna come January, February. I think we're gonna be there and definitely be a team that's gonna be one that's gonna push. But what I love about this conference is it's gotten better every year. It makes it competitive, and this year it's going to be really interesting with the pods too. So it should be a fun year, there's no doubt.
Well, Angie, we wish you the best of luck. Who do you guys open up with next week?
We open up with Pomona out of the CCA.
And you playing at home or you on the road?
Finally, I got my first home game in 7 years. Open up. That's pretty nice.
Well, that's great. We look forward to seeing you when you come to Phoenix this year, and good luck on a great season.
All right. Thanks, guys, for everything you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Angie Christensen, head coach at Dixie State College of Utah. And now we're going to go to Lene Larson, the head coach of Academy of Art, who used to be the assistant coach at Dixie State College of Utah under Angie Christensen. And she had a terrific season last year with Academy of Art, 16-10. Overall, 12-6 in the conference. Battled, actually, was at Academy of Art, was making a pitch for the conference title throughout the entire year. Hi, Lene. Welcome to PacWest Radio and the Basketball Media Day.
Hi, welcome to.
Can you hear us okay?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. Hey, Lene, let's talk about Academy of Art women's basketball. You have a preseason all-conference selection in Elisa Griggs. Last year, your first year as a head coach out there, you had a terrific season, 12-6 in the conference, 16-10 overall. Are the expectations higher now after such a strong season last year?
They are. I feel like we took, the beginning steps of building the kind of program that I wanted to have when I got here. We won a lot of games that people didn't expect us to. We made big strides, but we definitely have high expectations this year. We've got the majority of our production coming back, and then we added some really talented freshmen to go with that.
Let's talk about Elisa Griggs. She was a second-team All-Conference last year, picked as a preseason All-Conference player this year. What kind of player is Elisa?
Elisa is one of the hardest-working players I've ever coached. I mean, she competes in practice and games like no other. I've never seen a player improve more from her freshman to sophomore year than Elisa after coaching against her first year and then being able to coach her last year. I think she made huge strides and really added a different dimension to her game, making her really tough to guard.
When spending those seasons as an assistant coach at Dixie State and then taking over a program in the PacWest last year, what did you learn going from an assistant coach to a head coach that you bring into this year?
Obviously I learned a lot working under Angie and building the program that we built at Dixie. It took us 5 years to get to where we wanted to get to, And, that gave me an idea of what we needed to be, compete with the top teams in the PacWest. And so, this being my second year, I feel like now I've got a good grasp, as far as being a head coach and making the transition from assistant to head coach, and, what we need to do to compete with those top teams.
As a head coach and building a program like you're doing, is one of the traits you have to have is patience while you're building this program?
Absolutely. Definitely my patience was tested last year. But I was treating 8 and 9 kids all conference season, and so, when you have 8 and 9 kids in uniform, you have to have some patience. And, we went through our growing pains early, and we definitely improved a lot from the beginning of the season towards the end. And this year it'll be nice, instead of having 8, 9 kids in uniform, I'm going to have 14. So, with that, I've actually got to build a rotation. We're still trying to figure some of those things out, but for me, it's a good problem to have.
It's you guys are picked to finish 5th in the conference out of 14 schools. That's a pretty good validation for what you did after the first year. You got to be pretty proud of that. But when you're picked now that high, you're not going to sneak up on anybody this year.
Right, and you know that. I think last year we surprised some people, and this year the expectations, from our program are definitely higher, but I think from everybody else too. And so with the added pressure, that'll present a challenge for us, but I think we're ready for it. And honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. Can
you talk a little bit about a couple of your other players, Ariel Dale and Jordan Rogers?
Yeah, Ariel and Jordan both came in. They were Division I transfers. I think it's hard to make the transition that first year. So this year, after having a year in my system and kind of knowing my expectations, I think that they're really going to have breakout seasons. And then also with that, Katie Wade transferred from Portland State, and she practiced with us all year last year as a redshirt, and so we've got her for 1 year, and I think she's going to really come in and be an impact player.
Well, Lene, we wish you the best of luck. Outstanding season last year. I know it's exciting after all the preseason. You guys are anxious to get with the real games next week. So who do you guys open up with?
We've got Sac State tomorrow in an exhibition game, and then we open up with Humboldt State and Cal State East Bay from the CCA next weekend. So
those will be 2 important regional games because this year you guys are eligible for the NCAA postseason.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Lene Larson, thanks for joining us, head coach of Academy of Art. The Urban Knights, an outstanding season last year, looking to take that next step this year. Mike Rutter now from Notre Dame Dana Moore, NDNU, will be the next coach to join us. And Notre Dame picked to finish 11th in the conference, 6-20 last year, 4-14. Mike is has been building the NDNU program and has coached basketball for a long time in the Bay Area. And he has a cast of players that are going to be coming back to help out with the program. But one of the key ones is Taylor DeWeese and Tricia Malaspina. Both are... Hello. Mike, Tom DiCamillo here. You're live on PacWest Radio. Welcome to the Basketball Media Day. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about NDNU this year and your expectations. I know you have a couple of key players coming back this year in Taylor DeWeese and Tricia Malaspina. Let's start with them. What kind of players are these two players, and how are they going to impact your team?
Well, we have a really good inside-out offense, and Tricia Malaspina, probably one of the better post players in our conference. She was an 80% foul shooter last year and shot about 40% from the field. And she's back at full strength, and we're really excited to bring her back. Taylor DeWeese potentially could be as good as anybody in Division II, in shooting as a three-point shooter. She before she went out last year, she was shooting 100% from the foul line. And, she was 30 for 30, leading the country, and she is a very, very talented player. So we're really excited to have those two kids back, along with some of the new recruits that we brought in.
Looking at Taylor's numbers here, and you look at she played 2 conference games and averaged 22 points. She played 10 games overall, was averaging 14.8, and then to kind of lose that production, that's got to be exciting to have that come back.
Oh, it is. And, great kids, hard workers, good leaders. We're really excited. Also, another kid in there, Maya Arianas, she broke her foot in the second game, and she was probably our best all-around player. So she comes back as a freshman. She was able to get that year back because she was injured so early in the year. So, we have, three pretty strong kids coming back.
What is your schedule like this year? Who do you open up with?
Preseason wise, we have a D1. We play. As I look at this real quickly, San Francisco, University of San Francisco. We go up there and play them, and then we go to the Montana State tournament and play Colorado State Pueblo and Montana State Billings, which is tough. And in our tournament we have Monterey Bay and Shepherd State. So we've got a pretty good preseason schedule. It's going to keep us busy and hopefully prepare us for a great conference. I mean, our conference is going to be really tough and very competitive this year.
When you look at the conference, and you've been around the conference for a while, it's amazing how much just the complexity of the conference has changed with the addition of all these schools. Last year at this time we're talking 10 schools. 2 years ago or 3 years ago we're talking 7, 8 schools. Now you were talking 14 schools. Does that change how does that impact your job in terms of coaching and preparing? I guess you do, when you play a home and home and you're playing 7 or 8 other conference schools, you could just prepare 8, I'm not saying just 8 times, but now you got 14 different schools to look at or 13 different schools to look at.
Well, Tom, it makes my job just a little tougher, don't you think?
A lot of film, a lot more film.
We've got scouts now for twice as many teams.
Yeah.
So yes, it's going to be a lot tougher. And I mean, we're not just bringing in slouches, we're bringing in powerhouses. I mean, Azusa Pacific, Fresno Pacific, Point Loma. I mean, just to name a few. I mean, with Cal Baptist from last year. I mean, oh my goodness, it's not getting any easier for us. That's for sure. So yeah, it's going to be quite a challenge, no question about it. I mean, Grand Canyon. I mean, Dixie State. They probably have their strongest teams ever. So it's really going to be a tough conference. I know the Hawaii schools are improving as well. Hilo looks good. BYU looks good. HPU always reloads. So, the competitiveness of this conference is growing every single year.
Oh. Well, Mike, we wish you the best of luck with NDNU this year, and good luck as you make your way through the preseason and then get into those conference games.
Tom, thanks so much for having me, and we're really excited. It should be a lot of fun for everybody. It should be a great season.
Mike Rutter, the head coach of NDNU, joining us, and then next up will be Bill Westfall, the head coach of Point Loma. Point Loma in its first season in the Pacific West Conference, and Point Loma last year put together a 17-14 record. They were an NAIA school. This is their first go-around in the Pacific West Conference. They're being joined by Azusa Pacific and Holy Names and Fresno Pacific, and we've talked many times about the new institutions coming into the PacWest, which has expanded the conference to 14 colleges and universities, ranging from Hawaii all the way to Utah, California, Arizona. So the Pacific West Conference is exciting, and Bill Westfall, the head coach of Point Loma, joining us here in a moment, and then after
Coach Westfall.
Hi. Bill, Tom D. Camillo, head coach, joining us. I'm sorry, I'm not the head coach. This is Bill Westfall, the head coach of Point Loma. Bill, thanks for joining us. You're on the line with Tom D. Camillo here and Joe Carrero for the PacWest Women's Basketball Media Day. And Bill, let's talk a little bit about the Point Loma program. First year in the Pacific West Conference. Can you tell people that are listening if you described Point Loma women's basketball, how would you describe it to those that are unfamiliar with your program?
I've been the coach now for 10 plus years for the women, and it's gotten better almost every year. We did very well in the Golden State Athletic Conference, went to the national tournament quite a bit, and I guess we've had a run of post players. We've probably had 4 All-American post players in our program, and kind of built it around there. And then years when we have good three-point shooters, we're real good because then you can put them together. But I don't know if we can continue that run. We have one more this year, but they're getting a little harder to find. But it's been a good run for us with the post. When you look at as a coach, what's it like for a coach to transition from the NAIA to the NCAA? I mean, this is going to be your first games in the NCAA. Obviously, you've played NCAA teams before over the years. But as a coach, what did you kind of go through being an NAIA institution in the previous conference and now being in the PacWest, being in Division II? Yeah, I think it's a little step up as far as the level of competition, maybe the priority that the schools give the sport, and the publicity, and just a little classier operation in most cases. I think recruiting might be a little more competitive. You may even be able to get, though, a little bit better level of talent, but it is definitely going to be a little more competitive. I think the NC2A schools get after it a little more than some of the NAIA schools. So I'm looking forward to the change. I'm probably not going to be able to answer your question real well until we go through it 1 year, but that's just kind of what I'm anticipating.
When you were going through the recruiting process, when this change was going to take place and you knew it was coming over the last 2 years, a lot of coaches they'll recruit far and wide, but they obviously there's a lot of schools, high schools that they've built relationship with, or club teams they've built relationships with over the years, and coaches that you build those relationships with. When you go back to them and you've told them, hey, we're going to NCAA Division II, was there a difference in maybe the type of player they were recommending, or in terms of an interest in student athletes coming to the school? Did you notice anything like that?
Well, I think a lot of times people, I haven't had that many conversations yet, but I think that most people would equate NAIA with Division III kind of, and you say, oh no, we have some scholarships. And now they equate Division II with a little closer to Division I. Oh, you guys got money. You can help us. You have rule rides? Well, no, but maybe we could, put together a pretty good package. So I think that's the perception out there, that you have more money, and it's much closer to Division I than Division III, and then you're going to be able to attract some bounce back players a lot easier. I really feel, because they'll try a Division I school and sit on the bench for a year or two, and then I'll just go to Division II. But it's hard to talk them into going NAIA after that, unless their eligibility is all messed up, and then they could do that. So I think it's a good transition. It's probably where our school fits, but it's going to take a couple of years to really make the adjustment and know for sure how it's all going to turn out.
So for people that don't know about your basketball program, your players this year, who are some of the players that we should watch for coming into this season?
Well, we have a senior All-American returning post is a girl named Nyla Bailey. She's a 6'2", very athletic player who can score. I get bummed at her with her fundamentals sometimes because she doesn't do all the other things real well, because she's just a scorer. So it's good to have somebody like that. We've attracted probably 2 or 3 bounce-back players that are guards that are pretty nice athletes, really committed to the game, can shoot, can handle, and just play hard. So I think they'll kind of make their mark. And then we've had a couple other post players that are actually maturing, a 6'1" and a 6'4" girl, and so we're fairly deep at the post position. And if it all goes together with the new guards, I think we'll be better than last year. And we weren't great last year, but we could be improved this year.
Well, Bill, we wish you the best of luck this year, your first journey through the Pacific West Conference, and we appreciate you joining us on PacWest Radio and the Women's Basketball Media Day. Congratulations on joining the PacWest in Division II, but good luck this season.
Okay, thank you. My pleasure.
Bill Westfall, the head coach of Point Loma, and now joining us here shortly will be David Kaneshiro from the University of Hawaii at Hilo, the head coach. Hawaii Hilo last season 14-12 overall, 11-7 in the PacWest. They're picked to finish 8th in the conference, and then after that, Reed Takasuka will join us from Hawaii Pacific. David, welcome to PacWest Radio.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
Good. We are live, and you guys are getting ready to start your season here. David, let's talk about the Vulcans women's basketball program, and what do you expect out of the team this year?
Well, I did have a brief chance. I've been, listening to your show and heard about the predicted order of finish. probably based on what we did last year, and losing Hillary Hurley, was a first-team all-conference player from last season. I would say where we were picked, that's pretty fair. Obviously, we're going to do our best to try to finish a little bit higher than that. And I think we're on the right track. We've got a really good group. This is my third year here in the program, and the first time we've had as many returnees, who got quality minutes from a year ago. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We still have a long way to go, but I like what I've seen so far over the first few weeks.
And talk about you had the key players that you have coming back.
Well, coming back, Kirsten Shimizu is our point guard, and she was, I believe, honorable mention all-conference player from last season. She's worked really hard over the summer, back home in Sacramento, and she's playing better than she did last year. Kirsty Imai is in her, will be the third year that I've had a chance to coach her. Kirsty's from just down the street at Waikea High School here, on the Big Island, and she'll be a critical senior leader for us. And Jamia McDuffie played really well in the second half of last year. Another guard, is very quick, and can do a lot of things. Makes a lot of good things happen on both ends of the floor. And so those three guards, I think, will be really important to our success as far as returners go.
It seems like there's, obviously losing Hillary Hurley, just one of the best athletes in the PacWest. We talked about John Brown at Dixie State being an all-around athlete, and Hillary Hurley, obviously, same type of player, volleyball, basketball player. But the three guards you were talking about and your team, seems like you're going to have a balanced team. Is that what you're seeing heading into the season?
I hope it works out that way. Obviously, I still think I would, welcome back Hillary with open arms.
I think every coach would.
And be unbalanced, that would be fine. But no, I think you're right. And actually, I spoke about Kirsten working hard in the off season and playing better than she did last year. I think you could say that about a lot of our players. So hopefully, maybe one night it is very balanced, and maybe the next night it's not balanced, but it's only because someone's got a good night going, So I think we have a lot of different people who are capable of stepping up in different situations, whether it's scoring or, assisting other people or rebounding. So we're just going to have to do it that way. When you don't have that one dominant player, it's got to be a total team effort. But like I said, I like the way the group is working right now, and I think we're on the right track.
And real quick, who do you guys open up with? And actually, when do you start your season? Are you starting next weekend?
We don't open up on opening weekend. We start on November 17th. It was sort of a different type of scheduling year. There weren't a lot of teams who were coming out to Hawaii, and even less coming to the Big Island. So we've actually got Chaminade and then later in the month Hawaii Pacific in non-conference games, just so we could fill out our schedule. So we will open with Chaminade on the 17th.
Well, we wish you the best of luck this season in the PacWest, and you're doing a terrific job of watching the program grow, and had a good solid season last year, and we look forward to seeing the Vulcans as they make their way through the PacWest.
Appreciate that, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, David Kaneshiro from Hawaii Hilo, and he's the head coach in his third year. And now Reed Takatsuka from Hawaii Pacific will be joining us, the final one. We've run a little bit long today. Joe lets us run a little bit long sometimes, but we appreciate that. And Hawaii Pacific, a real strong season last year for the Sea Warriors. They're picked to finish 6th this year. Last year they were 12-6 in the conference, tied with Academy of Art, 18-10 overall. Real solid all-around season for the Sea Warriors. And then this year they are picked to finish 6th. They had 127 points is what they garnered in the preseason voting predicted order finish by the coaches of the Pacific West Conference. And Reed, welcome to PacWest Radio.
How you doing?
All right. Reed, let's talk about HPU women's basketball as we close out PacWest Media Day. You guys picked to finish 6th in the conference. When you look at this coming season with Hawaii Pacific University, what are your expectations of the Sea Warriors?
Well, I think first and foremost, our goals at the beginning of every year is to try and win the PacWest conference. And in the end, once we win the PacWest, obviously get to the regionals and do some damage in the regionals. So, I mean, first and foremost, those are our goals at the beginning of the year.
Let's talk about the players for your team this year. For those that don't know or haven't seen you played, who's back on your team and who are the leaders?
Well, our returning players, we returned 5 girls this year. I would say probably the most significant returnee is Sky Savini. She's a junior this year. We have a couple of guards coming back, both seniors, Melody Ladrito and Susanna Walmsley. And so we have, good leadership as far as our upperclassmen and, just good role models and people of character. And I think that they're going to do a good job as far as, leading this young group that we have.
Yes, Savini had put together for a short period of time some pretty impressive numbers. What kind of player is she?
She's pretty diverse. I mean, she can play in the post. We played her at the 1 spot before, so she has a game that we can move her inside or out. So she's pretty flexible that way.
When you look at the Pacific West Conference now and you see, you go back a few years and there were only 7 schools to start, and now we're at 14, adding 4 this year to the conference schedule. And I asked Mike Rutter this at NDNU. How does that change your planning in terms of scouting other teams, looking at game film? You're no longer kind of constricted to maybe 7 or 8 conference games where you're doing a home and home. You might have 13 teams you have to worry about. Does that change everything for you as a coach?
As a coach, I just think first and foremost, it's really exciting that our conference has really grown. I think it's the additions of the new teams, I think it's just great for our conference. As far as preparation, for me personally, I don't necessarily change the way I go into each game. I like to focus more on what we're doing versus what the other teams are doing. And I feel like, if we're executing well, we should be okay, in the end. At the same time, the scouting, breakdowns and all of those things, we still do all those same things, but, at the same time, I just think that, we need to really focus upon what we're doing,
When you're out recruiting now and you have all these additions of these schools in the conference and you get to go to some different places, does it open up the recruiting avenues? Like, say you have an athlete from Southern California, San Diego area, or Fresno area that you want to target. Now can you tell them, say, hey, come, we're going to go there and play, and your family will be able to get to see you play?
Well, I think for us in Hawaii, I think it's a great recruiting tool to tell our kids that we're looking at that, you get a chance to play in front of friends and family, several times a year. And I think it's nice that we get to play on the West Coast, and we do target the West Coast, because it's obviously a little closer to Hawaii. The distance isn't as much of a factor, but at the same time, it poses obviously some problems. Kids on the West Coast think that Hawaii's too far at times. So I think it's one of those things that we need to, help them to understand that, we are on the mainland quite often, especially on the West Coast, and, their friends and family will get to see them play. So it's a nice deal for them.
So, Reed, who do you guys open up with?
We open up with BYU Hawaii.
And when's that first game? It's a non-conference game, this one?
No, it's we actually are we talking non-conference?
Yeah, non-conference. Who do you open up with non-conference?
Non-conference, we opened up with Western Oregon.
And are you guys on the road or are you playing at home?
We're actually on the road. We have 3 games up there at Western Oregon.
So as a coach, do you like starting on the road or you like starting at home, or is there not really a preference for you?
It's not, I don't have a preference one way or the other. I think going on the road, obviously, it's it's a different environment for our kids, but at the same time, we need to be battle tested, so it'll be a good test to see where we are early.
Well, Reed, we wanted to thank you. Good luck in the PacWest this year. We look forward to when you guys come to the mainland.
All right, I appreciate the call.
All right. Reed Takasuka from Hawaii Pacific, the head coach of the Sea Warriors, and PacWest Media Day. Real quick, Grand Canyon, California Baptist, Dixie State, Azusa Pacific, Academy of Art 1 through 5, HPU 6, Point Loma 7, Hawaii Elo 8, Fresno Pacific 9, BYU Hawaii 10, NDNU 11, Dominican and Holy Names tied for 12th, Chaminade 14th. Preseason team, Jonna Brown and Becca Thomas from Dixie State, Lisa Griggs from Academy of Art, Mariah Hicks and Simone Holmes from California Baptist, Malin Smith from Grand Canyon, Shayla Washington from BYU Hawaii, and the preseason player of the year, Malin Smith from Grand Canyon. For Joe Carrero, I'm Tom D. Camillo. Thanks for listening to PacWest Radio. This was a Women's Basketball Media Day. Next week, Men's Basketball Media Day. We'll catch you next week on KQCK.
Hi, Marie here for wannasing.com. Are you looking for professional DJ or karaoke services for your next holiday party or get-together? Wannasing.com can provide the best in sound, light,